Hi, I'm ED-SKaR, and today I went to what may be my last few games of Bolt Action 2nd Edition. Although I might squeeze in the odd one here or there before 3rd comes out for real. I went to my usual haunt of Wargames Workshop at an event run by the Outriders MK. For my list, I took my Italians again, as I've been painting a bunch of infantry for that army, and as soon as 3rd edition comes around I won't be able to use them because we're going to have to wait for the Italian list because it's not coming out on release. However, I almost always take vehicles in every list I've ever done for Bolt Action. This time I thought I'd be a little more interesting, and so today I have a purely on-foot list. Starting off, I have 3 full-size rifle squads with a light machine gun each. There's a Bersaglieri veteran squad with just the submachine gun, and the paratroopers, there's 8 of those, all with submachine guns and anti-tank grenades, so they might be a bit dangerous if they can get up close. I have plenty of points left over after all of this for loads of weapons teams, and I took them all as veteran. There's a light mortar, a medium machine gun, a sniper, and a medium howitzer. And my officer in the middle, well, they ended up being regular, and that's fine. This is going to be an interesting way to play, as I have a lot less mobility than I'm used to, but quite a lot of numbers and still a reasonable amount of firepower. It could be effective so long as I can keep moving. So here's the board for my first game, and you can see scattered objectives throughout a little village. From my starting edge, the right flank has plenty of buildings for me to move through, so I can just keep going the whole way. But the left has a little more open ground and a long sight line down the river, so I was certainly wanting to favour the right, as that gives me the best chances to move. Immediately the Brits dropped artillery on my left flank, which means that 4 of my units spent an entire turn rallying instead of moving, and that kind of proves my point about the left being open and slow. We had this really fun little running firefight between one of my rifle squads and a British veteran squad. I decided to just keep moving, keep the pressure on, push up, and somehow this worked, and I shot up the Brits and took that objective. On the right board edge, even better, I clogged up all of their weapons teams by just giving them too many targets to shoot at, and handing out the odd pin here or there, but I managed to get my Bersaglieri all of the way forwards onto an objective and pinned in the opponent's officer. They're in here, by the way. This first game went by at lightning speed and was over before I'd even woken up this morning. But a first win for the day as I wake up, that's a pretty good thing to wake up to. The second game, now that I'm fully awake, and the organiser asked for a fun extra mission to play, and I suggested a golden die game. I'll explain this properly in a future video, but the short version is that you add an extra order die of a 3rd colour into the bag, and when that's pulled, it triggers something about the mission. Now in this case, very dramatically, it ends the turn, and so we decided to play for 11 turns instead of 5. This is tabled quarters, and so I know that my usual tactic of push forwards will be very important. But I can't save the good stuff for later. That golden die means that turns could end at any point, and whatever you save till last is probably not going to get to go. Annoyingly, my opponent brought in a Puma from reserves and locked up my front edge pretty tidily. Although I did have some options, these were whittled down very quickly. I didn't get any pictures of it, but this infantry squad here charged against a unit that were hiding behind this bush. Now I thought that they were an inexperienced Luftwaffe Field Division squad, but as I charged them, my opponent said, "Oh yeah, they're the veterans." Well, whoops. Well, I'm probably just going to lose this combat. Well, we fought the first round of combat, and we got the same number. We had a draw, the same number of kills. And so we had a second round of combat, and I got just the 1 kill, and my opponent got none. Which means I actually won with a regular rifle squad against veterans in cover, which is pretty effective. My Bersaglieri pushed up the middle, but they essentially got stuck. With nothing really effective that they could do, they always waited for later, and given how we're using the golden die this game, that means they pretty much didn't do anything. The real MVP was my paratroopers, coming in from reserve on my left flank and charging all of the way forwards, wiping out 2 squads and the Panzerschreck before, unfortunately, not quite managing to kill the enemy Stug. I even risked my officer to fight the enemies, and in return the enemy officer missed both of his shots. Hilarious. But this means that most of my remaining units were in the enemy table quarter. That means lots of points and a second win. The third and final game, and I'm on the top table with 2 wins. And can you spot the mistake that I have made? This game has a single objective each, and I just have to charge theirs without letting them get to mine. But I've deployed in a long, thin line, not focused like I really should be doing. Our howitzers duelled all game long, essentially distracting each other into uselessness. My infantry struggled to find cover as I moved forwards, and even worse, because they were spread out, every avenue and advance was dangerous to them. Most dangerous was the enemy Stug, putting lots of shots into my various squads as I broke cover. Actually, that's not true. Even more dangerous than the Stug were these little veteran squads with Sturmgewehrs. Jumping out and dropping 10 shots at 2+ hit, it's just punishing for me as I was moving forwards, and I lost all 3 of my rifle squads really quickly, and then all my other squads as well. By the end of the game, my left flank was gone, leaving my base open in the hands of my opponent, and the right flank, whilst I had pushed up, I was totally unable to engage anything and got wiped out there as well. It was a pretty crushing defeat. And very much down to my deployment, my rushed plan, and forgetting the important rule of keeping the pressure on by advancing together. But it wasn't all for nothing, as 2 wins and 1 loss, I came 4th place overall and won a JS2 model, which I'm told is a great kit, so video on that soon. Now, I would have liked for a bigger something for the end of 2nd edition, a proper send-off video, but alas, that's just going to go in the pile of things that I never got around to. Local groups are so very important to our community, to our hobby, so go out, find your local group, have some games, buy from your local shops, bring your friends along. These type of events, shops and groups, they only keep existing if they keep being used. And so go out and use them. I've got a tank that I have to build, so I'll say I'm ED-SKaR, always will be, and thank you very much for watching.